Welcome to the Home Services Home Show, where you'll learn a little of what you need to know.
And a lot you don't.
So, what were you telling me starts happening next week?
So this is the craziest thing. So it is probably secondary to Christmas in Wisconsin is sturgeon spearing.
Deer hunting.
Deer hunt. Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, probably deer hunting. Okay, third. Christmas, deer hunting, sturgeon spearing.
So there's like 1 million people that deer hunt. And
Yeah.
there's probably a few thousand.
A couple 100,000.
Couple 100,000
I bet you it's over 100,000
on that lake.
on that lake. Lake Winnebago, Lake Poygan, Lake Winnicott, Upriver Lakes. So next week, not this weekend, but the following weekend, starts the sturgeon spearing week of season in Wisconsin. So the sturgeon are, prehistoric fish, and the DNR has done an amazing job of regulating and controlling that population. It's awesome. And it's very delicate. And these fish are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. They can grow up to,
Be over 100 years old.
they're super old, right? They can be, 6, 7, 8 feet long, up to a couple hundred pounds. Like it's a really cool creature. But just like everything else, we gotta maintain it. So sturgeon spearing starts. And this is probably the most, they did videos on this.
This is the most Wisconsin thing that happens in Wisconsin,
This
by
is
the
the
way.
most redneck thing that happens. Has to be.
Nothing gets more Wisconsin than this. You know what I'm saying?
And sturgeon spearing.
Yeah.
So
there. Do some sturgeon spearing this weekend, eh?
So it's to the point that people go out on Friday and they'll cut a big 4x6 hole in the ice, put their shack over it, and then on Saturday we're going to stare down that same hole. I invited Andrew to come out with me, and we're actually going to stare down that hole from 7 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to try to spear sturgeon. Now, I can tell you, this is what you got to expect: spearing a sturgeon in 18 feet of water down a 4x6 hole in the lake. And Lake Winnebago is 31 miles long, 14 miles wide.
It's massive.
It's huge, right? So it's like laying under a chimney, waiting for a duck to fly over, and then try to shoot it.
That's a really good analogy.
Highly improbable.
While intoxicated.
While having some adult beverages. So
nobody sits there and doesn't
No.
drink beer, right?
No. And then people use their grilling out, and so it'll be fun. We'll have a great time.
It's like a party on a frozen lake.
Yeah, JP will come out and he'll cook some breakfast or lunch on the ice. It'll be a lot of fun, right? And then if the event we get one, it changes your world. You will dance with this fish that night.
If I can add this for people, if you're watching this somewhere and you're like, what is he talking about? There is actually a mini docuseries on Netflix about sturgeon spearing on Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin, and you can also look up some stuff on YouTube. This is all true.
Correct. It's the wildest thing in the world.
So once you get one, if you get one,
it's
right?
Rare. It's rare.
What do they do? A couple hundred of them taken a year?
No, so the DNR regulates. So they regulate the juvenile class, the female class, the male class to make sure there's no overharvesting, which is they do an amazing job. The DNR does a great job. But if you get one, I've done this thing for 10, 12 years. I've never got one.
Yeah.
I've seen some.
You took a rookie last year.
I took a rookie. He doesn't know what a sturgeon was, and he got one last year. So either I suck or he just got really lucky. But anyway, Rich got one last year. But if you get one, it's like a prized possession. That night so you go to these tents, and there's tents all over the lake, and there's bands playing, and it's a party, right? And you bring your sturgeon on your little sled. You got a prized possession. Look at me, I got a sturgeon, right? And then it kind of progresses from there. So you have a couple more beers. Now you're high-fiving people, fist bumping people. Hey, I got a sturgeon. I look at your sturgeon. You look at my sturgeon. And then about 7 o'clock, stuff kind of changes.
Why?
Well, because everybody starts going to the bars then, right? And then so the bars have pool tables. And if you can tell, I'm excited about this stuff. Bars have pool tables. They put plywood over and plastic on it.
And they bring dead fish in.
You drag your fish in a rope, and you put your fish on the pool table so everybody can see it. It's crazy shit. So there's 5 or 6, 10 dead sturgeons staring at you as you're in a bar in an establishment, drinking. Everybody's drinking around and looking at your fish. It's pretty wild.
So preface back to when I
trophy.
said this is the most Wisconsin redneck thing you've ever heard of.
Right. So it's pretty wild. But so anyway, so it's an amazing experience.
Dance with them too, correct?
Oh yeah. So then after you do that, then someone will throw on an old Patsy Cline or just one of them old,
maybe a polka,
and if you have a fish there, it's your obligation to go grab your fish and you slow dance the fish, right? It's ridiculous.
And
I hope that we get
Shane is going to put a clip up there of somebody dancing with a sturgeon.
I hope that Andrew in a couple weeks gets to dance with a fish that I spear. So if I spear it, you're dancing with it. Deal?
Deal.
All right. This will be awesome.
Sturgeon spearing.
Sturgeon spearing 2023. But where this whole
Again, laying on your back, staring up a chimney, and hoping to shoot a duck.
Right. Good luck. But we're gonna try.
I mean, there's people that I watched that docuseries, and like there were people on there that had literally been doing it for 60 years
You never got one.
and never got.
No.
But
Pretty
it's
well.
only one day.
No. It goes to the season until they hit a cap of one of the three.
Could be one day.
It could be one day, but it's typically up the rivers one day. But Lake Winnebago, so massive, so big, like the numbers that get speared out there are just it's different.
Okay.
But it's
You ever
well.
caught one?
I've caught lots of them fishing, walleye
I've
fishing.
caught quite a few of them too.
Yeah. They're cool and creature. Like they are up in New London where they go to spawn. So they leave Winnebago, and if you know anything about Wisconsin, it's about 50 miles, maybe 60 miles from Lake Winnebago to New London via the river.
Mhm.
And those fish leave Winnebago every spring, about this time, and they start going up to New London to spawn in April. So they make that 50 or 60 mile trek every year, spawn and come back. So it's an amazing thing. It's really cool, and these fish are they're cool. They're prehistoric. Like I mean, you can shoot a giant buck and spear a sturgeon. It's like the same thing. Like it's a one.
I would say the sturgeon's probably almost harder.
Sturgeon's probably harder.
Yeah, at least a big one.
A big one, right? So it's a lot of preparation, a lot of fun, but the camaraderie is amazing. But the reason we were talking about sturgeon spearing before the show started was we're talking about ice, right? And this year's been a little bit weird with ice. And
Can we drive our truck out on the ice?
can we drive a 3/4 ton diesel truck on the ice and will we fall through and die? No, we will not fall
He
through.
says
and die.
no.
No, trust me,
Says we're good.
we're good. But ice isn't always on the lake either. We got a couple emails from viewers that asked about icicles when it's relating to
Not even viewers. These are actually our gutter shutter
customers, right?
Talking about icicles. They're new gutter shutter customers, and they said that they've with their old gutters they did not have icicles.
Right. Yep.
So
Same thing happened. We had leaf guard.
Yep.
Gutter shutter. It's going to happen in Wisconsin with anything. So I thought we'd just take a couple minutes and address the icicles. conversation.
Icicles can be caused by a plethora of things.
Correct.
Now, being a Dr. Energy Saver dealer and knowing how home performance works and how a home breathes and how heat loss happens and what happens when your home loses heat, we know one thing, that if it's really cold and you're getting a lot of thaw and you're getting icicles and ice dams, you've got a problem inside your home. It has a lot to do with your air sealing and insulation. But what we also know is that we get freeze thaw temps, which we've had a lot of this year. We get a little snow and then it freezes and thaws. And what are gutters made of?
Aluminum.
And aluminum is very cold.
Right.
So as that snow and ice melt and they freeze and they thaw and they freeze and they thaw, they hit the cold gutters and they freeze.
Did you ever have a kid dare you to put your tongue on a flagpole as a kid?
I don't know, but from watching the movie, I just did it once.
I bet someone talked you into it.
It hurt.
I never did it. I was smart enough to have dumber friends than me that I could talk into doing it, so I didn't have to do it. But the same principle happens there, right? When you it was funny. We were out with a customer, and it was actually a really cool experience. It was single digits last week, 2 weeks ago, and we went to a thermal imaging camera, and we actually found that where the sun was hitting a shingle in a single digit day air temperature, that shingle was actually 45, almost 50 degrees.
Wow.
So not only do we have heat loss coming from an attic, we also have that big orange thing in the sky called the sun that can, when it hits warm surfaces, especially dark, like shingles, it can warm that up and it can get water moving around. And when that water hits that metal, just like when you're a kid on a flag in your tongue on a flagpole, when it hits it, it has to freeze. It happens in open style gutters. It happens with no gutters. It happens with any covered gutter.
Right.
And that is just part of Wisconsin.
But if your gutter's open,
you have a giant ice cube tray.
It's falling to the bottom.
Right.
And it's freezing in the bottom. So a lot of people that didn't have covered gutters, they might not necessarily have seen it, or it was there and it was starting to rear its ugly head as an ice dam created by the gutter, but sometimes it gets covered by snow and you couldn't see it. We actually did a study one time. We took an open gutter and we cut it and we made it into a 1 foot chunk. We end capped it, we sealed it up, we filled it with ice, and we stuck it in the freezer and we froze it. You know how much it weighed? 20 pounds.
Wow.
1 5-inch gutter, 1 foot long, 20 pounds of ice. So if you got a 40-foot piece,
So if you got a 50-foot piece, you have a half a ton of.
You have 1,000 pounds hanging from the front of your house. Now, what we know honestly, it can be gutter shutter. It could be any covered gutter.
Yep. Leaf guard, leaf filter,
Anything
gutter helmet.
it's going to do is it's going to take where that ice freezes from the bottom of the gutter
Mhm.
up to the top of the gutter. Now, couple things. You see it more.
Mhm.
So you're like, what is going on? But as an icicle, it's also allowing that ice to then fall off your house.
Correct.
It's not all sitting in the trough and freezing and pulling on your fascia and misforming the gutters.
Correct.
So it's actually much better for the home. And I think a lot of people see them and they think something's not working right.
Mhm.
It's absolutely
It's doing its job.
It's absolutely working how it's supposed to work. Now, icicles won't hurt anything because gutter shutter is literally the strongest.
I was just
gutter
gonna
on the
say,
market.
with having gutter shutter, there's zero reservation in my mind that it cannot hold. That will hold up to the snow
Yeah.
and ice of the weight.
I mean, we put 600 pounds on a 5-foot piece.
Correct. We had producer Shane hanging with two other guys on a piece of
Wearing
gutter.
tool belts,
Yeah.
600 pounds.
Gutter shutter's that strong where it's not going to hurt it.
Now,
Now, some other products, it may disform it, maybe wreck it a little bit. Gutter shutter, solid as Sears.
Yep. And if it does wreck it,
Right.
we
That's our
replace
peace of
it.
mind. We'll replace it.
That's our thing. We'll replace it. But a lot of people have just never seen it before.
Correct.
Right? They don't know. And it's a question I'll ask people when they call. Is like, well, what is it about the icicles that bother you? Well, something's not working right. No, it is working right.
Mhm.
It just took the ice from the bottom of the gutter up to the top, and now it's allowing it to slide off. Now, if it's over a sidewalk, if it's over a front door, it can be annoying.
Pain in the butt.
It can be a pain in the butt.
Mm.
It's still better than getting up on a ladder and cleaning out your gutters
Correct.
4, 5, 6 times a year.
Correct. Way more
So-
dangerous.
So icicles are not. They're not a bad thing. I
Right.
just remember as a kid we always had icicles.
Remember we used to break them off and lick on them?
They're like swords.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lick on them. They're
Yeah.
full of like dirt and
Dirt,
shingle
yeah.
grit.
But that's why we never had. Well, I won't go on the COVID one. Sorry, no politics, no religion, no COVID. Sorry.
Stop it.
Sorry.
We're the first time live on TikTok. We
All right.
don't want to get canceled the first time.
All right, so
Joshua.
we were healthier back when we were younger. Let's put it that way.
Joshua. So we talk about icicles. Might as well talk about ice dams. What causes an ice dam?
Ice dams is when that ice freezes at the bottom and when it fills up your gutter, it makes a block, and the water can no longer go anywhere. And it's got a speed bump, if you would.
Yep.
So as that water slides down your roof and hits that speed bump, it freezes, and it just keeps on going back and back and back. And that's when stuff really starts getting wrecked.
That's bad.
That's bad.
So typically, ice dams can start at. They actually can start from a gutter.
Mm-hmm.
Gutters can actually make them worse.
Mm-hmm.
When you usually see the worst ice dams, it's not. It's just up on the edge of the roof.
On
And
the
that when they have really bad ice dams right on the edge of the roof, now you know that home has a heat loss.
Heat loss
issue.
problem.
Big time.
Because the overhang, if it's a foot or 2 feet, is cold. So that last 2 feet of it
That's what
is
starts
air
freezing.
temperature.
Yep.
But if you got liquid water running down that roof and all of a sudden it hits that air temperature roof deck that is underneath it,
Freezes.
it's froze.
And it just keeps happening. And then you get more snow, and then that snow is melted because of stack effect.
Yep.
You're losing so much heat through your roof, and it's just a continual issue.
Correct. And if your roof wasn't done right, you're laying in bed going, you hear drip, drip.
Mm-hmm.
And then your wife looks at you, she goes, "What's that?" "Oh, that's a roof leaking, honey."
We definitely take precautions
Correct.
to make sure
When we do a roof, we protect it from all seasons in Wisconsin.
we protect it from all seasons in Wisconsin. But with saying that, I don't know if there's a contractor that would ever guarantee that your roof wouldn't leak from an ice dam. Because when that ice freezes and it starts to creep underneath the shingles, it can go all kinds of weird ways. And once water has tension, water will stick to itself, and kind of once it figures out a way to get into a place, it can keep following that same path. So ice dams really are
It's a serious deal.
they really are a serious deal, and they really do cause a lot of damage.
Mhm.
I seem to see less and less of them. I think just because people have gotten smart, A, to how to stop them, and B, knowing that they can cause so much damage or something.
Correct. Yeah, the roofs are getting done better. I'd like to say that all roofs are being done better, but it's not the case. Most roofs are being done better. And
There's a major home builder here right in the Madison area, and if you're listening, you know who you are. They use 0 ice and water on the
That's
roof.
crazy.
None. 0. Not in the valley, not at the edge of the roof, and they've literally built thousands of homes.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
Because the code's minimum requirement,
As long as it's a 612 pitch,
you don't need ice water.
you don't need ice and water.
But we know that Wisconsin, you still got snow and ice.
It's quite ridiculous.
Think
Ice
about it.
and water's not good. Ice and water is expensive. The amount of ice and water that we use is expensive. But just to use a few feet, at least
On the-
one row, at least put some in the valley.
Right.
Can you imagine not having any steel or any ice and water in the valley on a roof?
Well, that happened to my neighbor.
Unbelievable.
We had a little hailstorm that came through up by us up in the Fox Valley this last year, and my neighbor behind my house a couple years old, year and a half year old, we tore the roof off, and the same thing. They had ice water in the valley. That was it. Nothing on the eaves. It's crazy. The house and that was a $700,000 house and no ice water.
But do you think that the home, did they build that house or buy it that way?
They built it.
They built it. Do you think the roof was any concern to them?
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
No.
What was? Their floors,
The
their countertops, paint color, the type of windows, a roof?
It's
Afterthought.
it's a roof, right?
That's how many times the homeowner asked you when they're getting a gutter estimate. Why didn't they just put this on when they built the house?
Right.
Because
All the time.
gutters are an afterthought. Because the gutters that
Gutters
go on,
aren't sexy.
no, and the gutters that go on a new home are the gutters that they're getting for like $4 a foot.
Correct.
The cheapest
Super cheap.
of the cheapest. That's why you still run into so many homes that have small downspouts.
Right.
Because they want the cheapest gutters to go on the home. Because I don't know if it's code to put gutters on home. I don't know if that's
think
part of the code, but builders know they're important.
They're important, right?
But they want the cheapest thing they can.
They would rather take the
possibly
couple $1,000s that we're going to go into gutters and put it into countertops, cabinets, lighting,
the sexy stuff.
sexy stuff. Because gutters and roofing, and especially insulation, isn't sexy until you find out that you have a problem.
Exactly.
But-
so it's done poorly to save money to make the house look nicer.
Right.
I like my analogy is a shiny turd.
Correct.
You shine it.
I'm not
you
sure where we're going with
shine
this,
it,
but we'll go
but
with
it's
it.
still a turd.
Still a
when
turd.
it's not done right.
Right.
You're not
Still
sure where I'm
turd.
going with this.
I don't know where you're going with this, but I'll let you go.
I'm just talking about the homes that are built all over
You're talking about turds.
Madison and Dane County area. They are giant, shiny turds, and they're not even cheap ones anymore. They used to be like $350,000. Now they're like $5, $7, $8, $1 million shiny turds.
Right.
You know where I was going with this, right?
You're going.
Looks real nice and shiny, but in the middle, it's still a turd.
All right.
All right.
Awesome. Anything else, little buddy?
I think that's it.
Cool.
We've talked about icicles. We talked about ice dams. Oh, we're spreading.
We're spreading.
We're spreading our wings.
Yes. Our reach is
We're
not
flying-
just Wisconsin.
We're flying across the pond,
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually opening another gutter
Actually
shutter.
started yesterday. February 1st is the first day open.
February 1st, first
Yep.
day open.
Yep.
February 1st, first job sold.
Yeah, my assistant sales manager Andy Steingraber was been a great employee for a lot of years, and Andrew and I and Amy and Andrea thought, you know what a good opportunity to recognize that effort, energy, and give him the opportunity to open his own gutter shutter in Grand Rapids and put on the world's strongest gutter in Michigan, just like we do in Wisconsin.
Yep.
So it's fun. So congratulations, Andy. Great work.
Great area.
Great area.
They
Beautiful
have
area.
More trees than we do.
It's amazing. I thought we had a lot of trees. That's okay. The only place that have more trees than him, Valancourt.
Yeah, Adam, if
Hampshire.
you're listening.
He's got the most trees ever.
Unbelievable.
He needs to be doing way more
They
gutter
don't have
push.
any farms there.
No, it's all
All
trees.
trees.
A lot of them.
Everywhere. Man,
They don't have cows. They have trees.
what do they have in New Hampshire?
Trees.
Tree.
So, anyway, great show. Guys, keep the questions coming. If you have any questions, that kind of thing, certainly reach out to us. Ask the questions online. Reach out to our websites, KeeneyandLarsonHomeservices.com, and shoot us those questions, and we'll gladly take care of them.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.